Yeah, that's a good segue to what I wanted to talk about next, which was a playoff picture. I felt like that would be more entertaining than poll notes. But I do think this will not be a conversation we have every week if Tennessee indeed loses another game, just because I feel like 3 losses would put you out. And to be honest, guys, the playoff picture is pretty bleak at the moment. There are 7 teams ahead of Tennessee in the SEC standings right now. If you just look at overall record, you got Texas A&M right now, Alabama also, both with undefeated records in SEC play. You got Georgia, who is, I would say, by default, the third best team in the league, just with having that loss to Alabama and then winning against Ole Miss. And then I would put Ole Miss in that conversation as well. They're at Oklahoma next week, but you look at the 4 games after that, you got South Carolina, the Citadel in Florida, all at home. And then you're at Mississippi State, which I don't know. Maybe that game could get tricky, but it is in broad daylight. They're playing that game at 11 a.m. Central Time on Black Friday, which is just criminal behavior by the major networks. But I guess the almighty dollar trumps any kind of tradition, unfortunately. The one thing that I would say about Alabama is that their 2 road games are against South Carolina and Auburn. And Kalen DeBoer's weakness is being a 2-touchdown favorite on the road. He is a 2-touchdown favorite on the road at South Carolina, who is struggling mightily. So I'm not saying that's a reason why they are going to lose this weekend, but do watch out just because I told you so. As far as A&M goes, like they're at LSU this week. I don't think they lose that game, although they've not won at LSU since joining the SEC. I just think it's a better matchup for A&M on paper. And then I look past that, at Missouri would probably be their toughest game. Georgia Tech is lurking on Georgia's schedule. Georgia Tech is undefeated right now, and I would argue that is probably the best team left in the ACC, just given what we saw this week with Miami going down. Vanderbilt also very much in the conversation, which is just wild to say. I think the game at Tennessee is probably their toughest game left, and then behind that, maybe Mizzou this week, just because it's a home game. But you look at their other games, like Auburn and Kentucky should be wins. Both those teams are not good this year. And then you have Texas on the road, who, like we've said before, they're not good offensively. Like Texas and LSU are essentially just different versions of each other, I feel like. 2 teams that can play defense but just can't hurt you offensively. And then other teams right now with better records than Tennessee would include Oklahoma and Mizzou. I think, well, they're going to have to play each other. And I think Oklahoma's remaining schedule is just pretty tough too, with both Tennessee and Alabama on the road. And with Mizzou, you've got A&M at home. And who knows, maybe Arkansas strings together some points and outruns them. So, but that's what it looks like in the SEC. It's a lot of teams Tennessee's going to have to win out and hope to get in over at this point. And then looking around and at the other teams that are potential at-large bids here that you could be looking at later. Ohio State and Indiana are the obvious 2 in the Big Ten. I'd throw Oregon in there as well. But Big Ten not looking like it's going to have a super heavy year outside of those 3. Already discussed the ACC a little bit. Big 12. BYU's still unbeaten in the Big 12. And then the other teams I'd keep an eye on are Cincinnati and Texas Tech. I'm not sure what the future holds for either of those teams on the schedule, but I do know that Cincinnati is unbeaten in conference play. Texas Tech dropped its first loss this week. We'll see what happens going down the road. And then, of course, you got the other teams outside of the Power 4 ranks, which technically includes Notre Dame because they're independent. They are in the same situation as Tennessee, where they got to win out, and they play a much weaker schedule than Tennessee, so that could favor them. And then you got USF in the group of 5 ranks. They're pretty much the last man standing at this point with unbeaten teams in the group of 5. So I know that was a very condensed playoff picture breakdown, but all of that to say, it just doesn't look good for Tennessee right now.
No, not at all. Especially because Tennessee still got tough opponents to go through. Like I mentioned, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Florida, those are not going to be easy wins at all. So it begs the question. I mean, if Tennessee was to lose one more game, who do you think it would be the best team for Tennessee to lose to and still have hopes to go to the playoffs? Because I feel like it's got to be Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's either Oklahoma or Vanderbilt at this point. You win against Oklahoma, and suddenly you're 9-2 going into the Vanderbilt game. I don't think you can lose to anybody though and try and get into the playoffs. That's the problem. Is if you lose another game, you're 9-3, and it just looking at the way the SEC is shaping out. Unless there's just some major upsets here down the road, it's going to be hard for Tennessee to find a way in. I'm just going to keep it real.
Yeah, and I think last year there was only one team with 3 losses, and that was Clemson, correct? Or was there another team?
It was Clemson just because they won the ACC title game.
Yeah, and I don't think the SEC championship is an option for Tennessee at this point. So, I mean, with that being said, yeah, Tennessee probably does need to win out, but I mean, man, it's gonna be tough. They're gonna need a lot of luck to fall their way, I think. But I mean, the absolute nightmare scenario is Tennessee losing to Vanderbilt and giving them the keys to the college football playoffs, which would be the most chaotic thing to happen during the like throughout the entire season.
Yep, absolutely. It'd be brutal just on so many different levels if Vanderbilt got in. That's a program that's not been relevant in almost a century getting into the playoffs just because you had a 25-year-old graduate student come in and just lengthen his eligibility and try to stay in college even longer. So, along with a bunch of assistants you brought over from New Mexico State.